to the cold, clear waters where the big brutes lurk, to massive woods, wetlands, and wide open country where big game trophies, elusive game birds, and all living things reside. Welcome to a world where the exciting challenge of outdoor adventure takes away tensions and the time clock never ticks. Welcome to another educational outdoor video, custom produced by Babe Winkelman Productions with you in mind. Come along for explosive fishing action and never to be forgotten hunting trips. Whatever the creature, we'll be your teacher. And that's not all. We'll be meeting the gurus of the great outdoors, guides and outfitters, conservationists and tournament pros. So, at least for a while, put everything else aside, sit back, relax, and let the wonders of a wilder world take you wherever you want to be.
Hi, I'm Babe Winkelman. Listen, thanks for joining me on another great outdoors adventure, and this time in pursuit of one of America's most enduring wildlife legends, the wild turkey. Hey, ever heard of the old expression, everything old is new again? Generally speaking, what that means is that every time you hear of some popular or new fashion or fad, or some activity being discovered, you can pretty well bet on the fact that it's probably been discovered a time or two before. Well, let me tell you, in the hunting arena, no old favorite has been so rediscovered as the wild turkey. I mean, here's the game that was so popular with our pilgrim forefathers that they made it the main course for their feast of Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, that same popularity was responsible for making this all-American bird nearly extinct and for reducing him to remnant flocks surviving in southern swamps and western canyons. By the late 1800s, turkey hunting was a thing of the past. Yet here we are, 100 years later, and sportsmen all over the country are becoming fascinated with what they considered as a new hunting opportunity. No doubt about it. The comeback of the turkey is one of modern wildlife management's biggest success stories, and is due solely to the dedication of America's true conservationists, the hunters. Okay, so we've got another bird to hunt. Yeah, there's lots of them around now. You bet they eat real good. But besides all that, what's the big deal about these birds? I mean, it sure isn't their looks, you know? Well, I tell you what, if we had to put it in one word, the true word would be challenge. Ask anyone, anywhere who's ever hunted turkey, and he or she'll tell you over and over again that these beauties are plain old-fashioned tough to get close to. In fact, these magnificent birds are wild in every sense of the word. They're cautious, they're wary, and equipped with the sharpest eyesight and keenest hearing of any animal that walks or flies. Hey, and another reason hunters have become big fans of these gobblers is that you can hunt them in two separate seasons, spring and then again in fall. And in most states, it's the only spring hunting there really is. Now, obviously, since turkeys are doing vastly different things in each of these seasons, the patterns that'll help you bag them are also going to differ. For instance, turkeys are naturally gregarious birds, and during the fall, they tend to flock up in large numbers. If you can find these flocks, break them up, and then call back the individual birds, you're going to have a successful fall hunt. Okay, now during the spring season, what you're dealing with is mating activity. The birds now will split up and be harder to find. However, they're also less wary and easier to fool. Ain't we all? Okay, what we're going to show you on turkey time here are two key different seasonal patterns, plus some variations, that veteran turkey hunters have perfected over the years. Now, on this first segment, we're going to join just such a veteran, my good friend and field advisor, Ron Schara. Ron is the outdoor editor for the Minneapolis Tribune, and for nearly 20 years or so, the operator of a turkey hunting camp in the Black Hills of South Dakota. Not only does this region boast of some of the most beautiful scenery in America, it's also the rugged home of some of the finest gobbler flocks. So, what do you say we join Ron for an in-depth look at some spring hunting patterns that'll improve your chances for harvesting a true trophy?
swore you'd never catch up with him. Oh, man. There's too many birds that are not going to pay any attention to me. I've tried that so many times, I should know better. Back it up and see if I can find a lone gobbler. One that'll pay attention to me.
The Black Hills is one of the oldest mountain ranges in the country, and it's about 40 miles wide and 60 miles long, occupied by whitetail, mule deer, wild turkeys, of course, and a lot of ponderosa pine. Matter of fact, the Black Hills is the largest stand of ponderosa pine in the world. The wild turkeys were never native to the Black Hills, but they were introduced back in the 1940s by the South Dakota Game and Fish Department. Biologists recognized the fact that wild turkeys existed, survived in ponderosa pine down in New Mexico and Arizona, and wondered if they could survive there, why couldn't they survive here in the Black Hills? So they brought some up from New Mexico, released them, and well, the rest is history. I like hunting the Black Hills for a number of reasons. One, there's a lot of turkeys. Two, it's some of the most scenic country, and it's friendly country. No insects to worry about, very few snakes to worry about. It's a great country to just hike and roam in. And I don't know, it's a lot of history here. It's just a good place to be in April. A couple of neat things about hunting the Black Hills. One is most of the Black Hills, that 60 miles by 40 miles, is all public land. So you don't really have a problem on finding a place to hunt. There is private land, however, that scattered them around through the Black Hills, and of course if you hunt there you should get permission if possible. But there are a lot of turkeys on public land, and I would say to a beginner to come out in mid-April, get some information from the South Dakota Game and Fish Department as to their season regulations and hunting rules. Maps are available from the National Forest Service or the Game and Fish Department. Be prepared to do a lot of hiking, scouting, looking for sign. The sign is very evident here in the Black Hills. You'll see where turkeys have scratched. They eat pine seeds a lot, and so they're scratching under the pines, and you can see that. And you go under roost trees, you'll see the droppings, etc. Well, the Black Hills turkey is the Miriam strain, or subspecies, of the wild turkey, and most people consider it the most beautiful of all the wild turkey subspecies because of its cream-colored tail feathers. There's a couple of things about, or a couple of tips, I should say, about how to locate birds in the Black Hills. One is they almost always roost on the east-facing slope, so in the afternoon when you're trying to put a gobbler to bed, you ought to work the east-facing draws or east-facing points because that's where they're going to be, if they're going to be anywhere. In the Black Hills, you can hunt turkeys 3 different ways. You can use a rifle, use a shotgun, or use a bow and arrow. Obviously, most of us prefer either shotguns or bow and arrow, mainly because of the challenge. This is open country, and a rifle is, well, I guess I hate to start an argument, but it's really not the sporty way of doing it as far as I'm concerned. And it's what you miss, and not by going after them with a shotgun or bow and arrow. That forces you to have to call the bird in within that limited range, and by doing so you get to see this marvelous display that nature puts on, where if you took the bird with a rifle, he could be out in a field 100 yards away and not even know you're there, and just zap and it's over. And you really wouldn't have much to remember. But by calling them in and making them, trying to entice them within shotgun range or bow range, man, I tell you, you'll see something you'll never forget the rest of your life. And speaking of weather in the Black Hills, if you don't like it, usually what they say, just hang around a few days and it'll change, because it will. But it'll vary during the April turkey season. It'll vary from 30 degrees to 60 degrees, and sometimes it'll get up to 70, 80 degrees in the middle of the day. So you have to be prepared for both extremes. And you ought to come out here in reasonably good physical shape, because these are hills after all, and pretty good hills. And invariably, just invariably, the wild turkey will be on the steepest one to climb at 4 o'clock in the morning. A typical day in the life of a Black Hills wild turkey starts, as I said, on the east-facing slope. Then in the morning, they like to often wander down into oak draws and scratch down there for acorns and lollygag around, and then later in the afternoon, they'll mosey back up to these open meadows and feed on pine seeds or catch grasshoppers if they can. And then they wander over to the west side, catch the last rays of the afternoon, and then they, just before dark, they come back over on the east-facing slopes or peaks or points to go to bed for the night.
Here he comes. He's looking for us. Look at him come. Isn't that beautiful? Hold still. Don't move. Anybody move. Don't anybody move. I'm going to stop calling now. He's coming. He's coming. All right. Yeah, don't anybody move. They're going to keep coming. They've got such tremendous eyesight. They're eyeballing us already. Look at this one coming from the rear, trying to catch up. Isn't that a sight? That's what it's all about. Look at that. Look at that. One of the great performances in nature. Look at that. He says, aren't I pretty? See, those are young jakes he's chasing away there. He doesn't want them. That's the bunch we were listening to this morning. I'm going to do a little experimenting here. All right. Yeah, don't anybody move. Yeah. Put this down, quiet. Got you. Oh. Aren't you a dandy, huh? Oh, man, isn't he a beauty? I'll tell you, this is what wild turkey hunting is all about here in the Black Hills. I know it's hard to explain how you can admire these beautiful birds and then hunt them down. If I knew I was hurting them, I wouldn't be doing it. But I also know that I'm the greatest fan that the wild turkey has got here in the Black Hills. So come on, turkey, we're going to go home. Here we go. Oh, you're a big boy. You're a big boy.
As great as the spring season is, it's not the only time you can chase turkey. That's right, because nearly all states now offer a fall season, and believe me, it's as different a hunt from spring as you can imagine. However, on this segment, we're going out west again, and this time to the wide open grasslands of western Nebraska. Now, I've been to this area before on a fishing trip or two to Merritt Reservoir, just southwest of the town of Valentine. And believe me, it was one fantastic outing that culminated in the boating of a channel catfish that weighed over 30 pounds. My fishing partner that day was John Davenport, who owns and operates Merritt Dam Trading Post. John guides both fishermen and hunters, and is one of those guys who's been known to spin some pretty elaborate yarns. Now, normally, I'd have been a tad skeptical when he told me about how great the hunting was. Well, what the heck? He'd been right about the fishing, so I decided to give it a try. Watch this, and I'm sure you'll agree he was right about both decisions. You know, there are a lot of places in America that like to label themselves as where the West begins. They all have the reasons for doing so, and that's fine with me. But I've always felt that the real West is like real art. I may not necessarily be able to define it exactly, but I'll sure know it when I see it. And believe me, this area we're going to be hunting in the Sandhills, Nebraska, is what I would definitely define as part of the real West. Consisting almost totally of rolling grassland cut by tree-lined river canyons, it offers just about the greatest variety of hunting opportunities you can imagine. For example, big game hunters can find mule deer, whitetails, and antelope throughout these hills. And just about any type of waterfowl can be hunted on the thousands of shallow lakes that dot the region. Bird hunters can have a real field day since the area offers good numbers of pheasant, turkey, sharp-tailed grouse, and prairie chickens. Last fall, my dad and my good friend Al Kern and I took advantage of that diversity and spent 8 days there in pursuit of deer, pheasant, grouse, and turkey. We hunted whitetail and muleys both, and all of us bagged nice bucks, although no real trophies this trip. We also hunted sharptails early in the morning using a terrific pattern that allowed us to pass shoot them as they flew into their favorite morning roost sites to feed. And of course, it wouldn't have been a Nebraska hunt unless we spent at least one long day matching wit with the ringneck pheasant. We hunted both pheasants and later whitetail on the Boardman Springs Ranch with guide and host Bill Weller. Bill manages his ranch with the kind of extra care that it takes to maintain great pheasant habitat. And it really shows, too. There are literally pheasants everywhere. And I'm telling you, when you're hunting pheasant, you've got to have 3 friends, 2 dogs, and a whole sack full of shells just to make it an even fight. Okay, as you've already seen, these seemingly empty sandhills aren't nearly so barren as they appear to be at first glance. And that was especially obvious to me when our host, John Davenport of the Merritt Dam Trading Post, guided Al Kern and myself on a fall turkey hunt along the Niobrara River.
And it's kind of neat because most people don't think they gobble in the fall. And they do gobble in the fall, and they do respond to a call. And we're going to try to do some calling in here.
Well, that one answered you a minute ago, too.
Just chirped at us just a little bit, but all we want to do is have them tell us where they are. And once they tell us where we are, then the advantage starts swinging into our spot, and we'll start setting up a stalk. Normally in the spring, it's all hiding, all calling, bring the bird to you. In the fall, it isn't. There's large flocks of them, and if we can't bring them to them, we identify where they are, and then we start planning our stalk and plan on popping a couple of those guys.
This is pretty much all just the same kind of country then, the flat river bottom here and then steep sides on either side?
Yeah, baby. We've got some canyons. Some of these canyons, there's one down here that we like a lot. It'll go a mile up in, back out into the prairie. And they like to roost in those deep canyons in there. And we know there's a roost up in there. So if you know where they're living, that's another advantage you have. And we've been observing them here lately, getting ready for this hunt. So we kind of know the general area these birds are in.
But their typical pattern on a daily basis this time of the year would be coming down here early in the morning and working the flats. And what are they feeding on down here?
They're feeding on the scrub oak. We'll be running into scrub oak. There isn't any bugs left. But they're picking up some old pine cones. They like pine cone seeds. The ash tree gives off some sort of a deal that they eat. But as you observe them, they're constantly pecking and constantly eating all day long.
Usually they gobble?
They'll gobble, and then the young chicks are always chirping, and they're always getting lost, and the hens are always trying to call them back.
Even this time of the year?
This time of the year. And so they'll give it away, too. And
How big a bunches are there?
We're 25 to 50. We know we're dealing with about 3 to 4 different bunches down here of 25 to 50 birds. And we can hunt for a couple, 3 hours, never hear or see anything, and then all of a sudden, there they are. They're behind us. They've moved in behind us and whatnot. They are very, very quiet.
Do they feed for like a couple of hours in the morning and then go back and roost for a while, or what?
No, they feed all day long.
They just eat?
They do. And you get some areas, though, they'll move 3.5 miles. And then in the afternoon, they'll turn around and start working their way back to their roost. They don't stay in the same place every night. They'll have 2 or 3. But they will stay in one of the 2 or 3, and they'll traverse all.
It's kind of like a home area, then?
Mm-hmm. It's a territorial area that they have.
Do they, like, stay in that area then all summer?
Uh-huh. You'll find the patterns all summer. Now, when we get heavy snow down here and whatnot, then they'll move out. They're pretty domesticated. They'll move out into the farmyards or somewhere where they can get the groceries.
Free lunch. Here it ain't no free lunch for the hunters or the birds, I don't think.
Here we have a little bit of turkey droppings right in here. Kind of the unique thing about the turkey droppings is you can sex the bird by the dropping itself.
What do you mean by that?
These droppings right here, if you have them round and globby like that, that's a hen. If they have a tail on them like so, that represents a tom. These droppings right here, 2-3 days old.
It'd be amazing to figure that kind of stuff out for a living, you know.
You kind of pick these things up out in the woods.
You'll notice that John used the old reliable box call on this hunt. It's the perfect call for beginners and for fall hunters who don't need to be quite as stealthy as those spring hunters do. While many hunters never use any other call, there are quite a few more to choose from. For example, there are several types of slate calls that are highly prized for their tone and versatility. The only bad part about them is that they also require hand movement to use, and since they come in 2 pieces, there's always the chance you may lose one just at the wrong time. The mouth call is probably the most popular amongst experienced turkey hunters, since it's capable of making very sophisticated calls and doing so almost invisibly. The downside of these calls is that they're tricky to learn and require some time and practice to master. No matter which call you select, you'll find that calling soon becomes one of the most exciting challenges with this type of hunting.
Now we have that. The third one back is a good bird. They go for 15. Let him go a little bit more. Okay. What do you want me to do? Babe, okay. The second one from the end. It's a twin. It's a twin. Do you see him? Do you have him marked? Which one?
You're talking this one over here.
Take that one from the end.
Okay, what do we do?
Gentlemen, just do the headshot. Do just nothing but a headshot. Go ahead whenever you're ready. Oh, yours is making a nice presentation now. Real nice presentation. Whenever you're ready.
Is it?
It's up to you. Just shoot him now. Anytime.
Got him.
Wait.
What?
Those birds, they're flopping around. They'll hurt you real bad when you pick them up, Al. Just move in real slow so
they're
that
not
the
as big as I am.
But I think you head hit them both. I think it's a beautiful shot. Just
They're
well
jumping around
done.
all over.
Well done, guys.
How old is a bird like this, John?
I'm saying that bird is a 2.5-year-old bird. Definitely a tom. Definitely has all the, if you'll notice on our feathers here, they're all white tipped on the back, which is indicative of tom, but they are not white tipped on the breast. It's just a shiny black, and the hands would be tipped.
There's even some maroons and purples on the side.
Yeah,
you get it glinting in the sun.
Yeah, you get that right shade. That just, you know, they're a beautiful feathered bird. They truly are. And of course your tail feathers, these are in perfect shape on the tip because it's in the fall. They're not in spring we'd have these things all beat up from dragging their tail.
You can make a war bonnet out of that sucker. You know? I tell you what, I got a few kids that are going to make Thanksgiving dinner out of this. You know?
The timing is perfect for it. Timing is perfect.
Good shot, Al. Good shot, man.
Congratulations.
You know, spring or fall, let me tell you, in my opinion, they're both great times to hunt turkey. Each season has its own patterns, its own appeal, and its own thrill of adventure. Spring gets you out into the woods when nature is just busting out all over, and when the big tom turkeys are at their most accessible. The fall season gives you a chance to score when the flocks are their largest and to bring home your Thanksgiving dinner just like the Pilgrims did. Hey, whichever you choose, and I hope you choose both, don't pass up a chance to take part in this oldest of American hunts, for this noblest of American birds, the wild turkey. Listen, thanks again for coming along on this great outdoor learning adventure. I hope you'll join me again soon on one of the many other terrific tapes I've had the privilege of putting together. Because I believe that by studying and mastering the patterns in nature, you can become the successful outdoorsman you truly want to be. Now listen, keep learning and keep growing, and until the next time we meet, good hunting and good fishing.
Feel the excitement. It's the action-packed, information-filled world of Babe Winkelman, Hall of Fame angler and America's foremost fishing educator. Be a part of it with Babe's entertaining, educational books and videos and quality research team products and accessories. The secret's out. Babe's Fishing Secrets Educational Video Library is the hottest collection of fishing videos ever produced. Choose from 27 exciting fishing secrets titles, including 12 brand new releases this year. Getting any lately? Now you can learn to master the patterns of nature with expert tips from some of the most respected outdoorsmen in the world. Babe Winkelman Productions is proud to present this dynamic new collection of in-depth how-to hunting and fishing videos. If you're a serious sportsman, you'll want to check them out. See what you've been missing with Babe's Fisherman's Favorite polarized sunglasses. Available in gray or amber, large, medium, and clip-on styles. They're the finest fishing sunglasses money can buy. It's every tool a fisherman needs, right at your fingertips. Babe's Angler's Edge Toolkit is actually 10 fishing tools in all, including this unique 5-in-1 pliers that easily removes paint from jig eyes, just like that. They're the best guides on the water. Babe's critically acclaimed comprehensive guidebooks are must-reading for beginners and pro anglers alike. Considered the Bible of modern fishing technique, these volumes are guaranteed to make you a better fisherman. Don't miss the boat. Look for Babe's tapes, books, and research team products at leading tackle, sporting goods, video, and department stores everywhere. And feel the excitement in the action-packed world of Babe Winkelman Productions.